Welcome back to another new episode of Campus Stories here on RMU TV. I'm your host Vince Russo, and we have an awesome show planned for you today. Today we're blessed with two guests, the first being Randon Willard from the Counseling Center on Robert Morris University's campus, and the second, Brandon Kreiser, the student producer of the brand new film club on campus. So, Randon, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your job and all the job description kind of entails.
Yeah, so I work in the University Counseling Center. My job is I'm the crisis counselor and outreach specialist on campus. And so my job is I'm on call 24/7 in case any emergency happens. I'm there to be there to support students. And I'm also there as day to day. If a student has an issue, just needs to talk to somebody, they can walk into the counseling center at any time and have somebody to talk to. And then as an outreach specialist, I oversee education and prevention efforts. So things like suicide prevention and alcohol and drug prevention and education and sexual violence prevention. I make sure that the university is educating and trying to keep our students safe, basically.
How hands-on with that part of it do you actually get to be?
So I oversee everything, and my goal is to have students a part of everything that we do. So I write a lot of the curriculum for the first year experience class, and I get to make sure programs are happening, and I bring in community partners to also facilitate some of that education and prevention as well.
So as a whole in the Counseling Center, what all kind of services are offered for students?
Yeah, so the Counseling Center is new this year. It started August 1. We kind of launched and had a new space. We brought in a full-time director, and she is one of our therapists. So we have one full-time therapist, one part-time therapist, and currently we have an intern who's another part-time therapist. And then we have a psychiatrist as well. And so students can come in and they can see ongoing free counseling services and psychiatric services if they would like to. Or if somebody's just having a bad day and needs to talk to somebody, they can walk in at any time and just talk to somebody. So we kind of do that, you know, the day-to-day stuff and the ongoing care for things like depression and anxiety and stuff.
And for those who don't know, because you said you did open up a new location this year, where exactly are you on campus?
Yeah, so we're right next to the cafeteria. If you're walking back towards Student Life, we're on your left, right across from the bathrooms. It's where the Center for Global Engagement used to be.
And you talked about how your job's kind of a 24-hour thing. What are the actual office hours for you guys?
Yeah, so we're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And then if there would ever be a concern or you're worried about a friend who's maybe saying things about suicide or hurting himself or hurting other people, community advisors have my phone number and can always get a hold of me, and so can the police. And so that's another way that we can make sure that we're caring for students outside of those normal office hours.
So in total, how many counselors are there in total for students to take advantage of?
There's 5 of us total who work in there. Only 2 of us are full-time, and then there's 3 others who are here on a part-time basis.
What is the most rewarding part of the job that you have?
You know, we deal with such sensitive natures, and for a student to come in and share that sensitive information with you it's a humbling experience. It's you know, they're sharing something that maybe they've only told one person or they've never told anybody before, and so to realize the trust that goes into that and to try to support them and care for them in that situation, I think that's just rewarding, and you want them to know that they're cared for and that they matter and that you want to hear their story.
How, or what would be what's the toughest part of that job?
You know, there's times when you have to make gut decisions, especially if a student is saying things about suicide and you have to decide, okay, do we need to take the student to the hospital? Do we need to call home? Like, what do we need to do to support that student? And those are definitely the toughest times, you know, because you just wonder, you're like, are we caring for that student the best that we can? You know, and you want to make sure that the decisions you make are really going to help that student long term.
And you talked specifically about suicide. What are some of those, with suicide and maybe with some other stuff, what are some of the tougher decisions that you've had to make?
Man, some of the tougher decisions I've had to make. Probably the toughest are deciding, like, is a student actively suicidal, or because there's a population that just has suicidal thoughts, which is very different than somebody who's actively suicidal, right? And so you really have to ask the right questions to figure out, like, okay, does this student have a plan to actually hurt themselves, or is it just something that they're just being honest and open and saying, like, I have these thoughts, but I know how to handle it. And so, there's times that we have an agreement with a local hospital that they'll do a psychiatric evaluation. And there's times where, being on call 24/7, I'll get calls at 3 in the morning, and I have to be on and try to make sound decisions then. And it can be difficult, but it's also one of those things that it's rewarding in its own way. So.
We will be right back with our show and to interviewing Mr. Willard right after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
These boys are my heroes. They come every week to spend time with my children.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
They can teach them something no one else can.
Wisconsin.
They're role models to the children, and homework comes way before sports. Their grades have improved, and their lives are just a bit richer. What they do for my kids is truly wonderful.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
I call them my lifeline.
People don't realize how quickly you can end up on the street. One thing happens in your life, medical bills you can't pay, lose your job, and that's it.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
We went to DC to work with the homeless. They sell a newspaper called Street Sense. Thought I'd help. This person came up to me and said, get a job. And for 2 hours, I felt what it was like to be homeless.
Good morning. $1 help on.
Some of the other students said, how can we change this? And I said, sometimes you can't change the world, but you may be able to change one person's world. My dream? Open a psych clinic for people on the street.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
You're RMU TV. Today, we are talking to Randon Willard from RMU's Counseling Center. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So what is the student traffic like at the Counseling Center? How often is it used?
Yeah, we see, we're booked. We see probably, I think, last month we had over like 200 appointments of students we've seen. Not 200 different students, but I think right now we're seeing about 9% of the campus population. So, this has been something that's needed. Students feel comfortable in there. They've got relationships with their therapists, and they know it's free. They know it's confidential, and sometimes they just come in to hang out too, because it's a safe environment.
So I understand you have a new addition in the Counseling Center, Ms. Holly Harmon. Tell us a little about her.
Yeah, so Holly Harmon is our director of the Counseling Center. So she joined, she's been here almost about 10 months now. She started, I think, about last April as a part-time person, with us knowing, okay, we're going to start a new counseling center. She's going to take over the reins. And she is devoted to caring for students. And to have a boss that her whole purpose she sees is, how are we really caring for the students' needs is it's great. It's a good environment to be in because we know we can fight for students in any way that we want to, and we're gonna do that. And she's gonna back me on that, and I know that our services are gonna be utilized because of that.
What does she bring to the table that RMU previously wouldn't have had without her services here on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question. So last year, and the way the counseling centers functioned in the past, there wasn't a counseling center. There was a part-time therapist who was here about 8 hours a week. What happened bringing in a full-time person? One, we're able to see students on a more ongoing basis. So instead of a student seeing like a therapist once or twice during a semester, they're able to see somebody 6 or 8 or 10 times and really get the care that they may need. So now we're able to see students and really provide care at such a higher level. Beyond that, having Holly here has allowed us to think long term. What can we do to really provide a more comprehensive plan for students? So we brought in a part-time therapist and an intern. We're looking at our outreach programs and saying, how do students find out about us? Like, what can we do to help create more healthy lifestyles as a whole? And how can the counseling center be a part of that as well? Because we realize that, yeah, we want to provide those services, but we also want to make sure that we're helping students become resilient and live healthy lifestyles as well.
And what called for all this change? You said it was kind of small for the university size and how the university has grown, but what called for opening up this brand new center and creating all these job opportunities?
I mean, it was needed. I guess I'd say students called for it. I mean, there was, if we look at the way we were able to support students, it was poor and it was sad. When you look at other universities and you see what they're doing with their counseling centers and offering these services to their students, and then what we were doing previously, it just didn't stack up. And the reality is, if they build it, they will come. And we started this counseling center, and within 2 weeks, Holly's schedule was booked the entire week. That's not a surprise to me. It's if you provide good services to students, this is a high stress time of life. Depression and anxiety are big issues on college campuses. To have an avenue and a place for students to just be able to deal with that was needed.
So you kind of noted upon it a little bit, but what are some of the steps that you want to take next to further the expansion and the progress that has been made?
Yeah, so we're in a process now of dreaming the next 5 years. So what does 5 years down the road look like? I think if we could be fully staffed, we'd probably be, national standards are about 1 therapist for every 1,500 students. So what would we like to have? Probably about 3 full-time therapists on site. That's our dream. Is that going to happen? I don't know. And then an ever-increasing outreach program. We're going to launch next year a peer education model where students come alongside and help educate their fellow students on real issues, stress management, things like suicide prevention, things that matter on this campus where they see their friends, their roommates struggling at times, and they want to know, how can I tangibly help this person?
And from what you've said, in your time here, and I know it's just been this last year or so, but even from the time when you first got here, how much of an improvement has been made?
Yeah, well, I've actually been on campus for 7 years, and 4 years in this role as crisis counselor. So I've been able to see what has been needed to finally what is here. I remember saying to a staff member about 3 years ago, I'm going to do the outreach that's necessary for us to hire somebody full-time, because the reality is that these students need that care, and to see it come about and to know this has been needed for a long time, it's amazing, and it's great to see a counseling center that feels homey, that students come in and just want to talk to people, and they feel safe there, and they know they have relationships with their therapist or with myself, and can just feel at home, you know.
Well said. Well, we will have to run to a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more campus stories. Don't touch that dial.
Nicaragua is a completely different world. We were there to bring nursing care to some desperate people.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
The very first person that I met was David. Kept saying, "You have to come to my house and watch me play my trumpet." You could tell from the look on his face that it was just his most prized possession. I get back home. A few weeks later, I got a message that a gang had broken into his house at night and they stole it, which was his life. So next trip back, we gave him a new one. The look on his face was just complete disbelief. He just absolutely couldn't believe it. And to be able to do something like that was one of the best moments of my life. He said he'd never forget us.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
These boys are my heroes. They come every week to spend time with my children.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
They can teach them something no one else can.
Say
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
They're role models to the children, and homework comes way before sports. Their grades have improved, and their lives are just a bit richer.
Okay.
What they do for my kids is truly wonderful.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
I call them my lifeline.
We are back here on Campus Stories as we welcome in our second guest, RMU Film Club student producer, Brandon Kaiser. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thanks for having me, Vince. It's a pleasure to be here.
So what brought about or called for the creation of this club?
Well, I'm actually a freshman this year at Robert Morris, and I remember when I was going through all my different TV classes, I would talk to all these different kids and they would all say the same thing. Man, I wish we had a film program. I'd just like to be more involved with the film side of video. And the thought just hit me like an icy snowball to the face one day, like, why don't I start a film club? So I went to my counselor, Nicole Haymond, and I talked to her about the idea before I went to student life, just to see, like, is this even possible? She was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So that same day I went to student life, got the paperwork, and I started the process to get the club going.
And what has been the process thus far past that point?
Well, it's a lot of paperwork. We actually technically started last semester, but we had 0 members because it was all just trying to organize the club, get everything ready to go. Like I said, a lot of paperwork, stuff like that. But then this semester, we're really able to start bringing in members, start advertising the club, and now we're to the point where we have a finished script. We're working on casting, and after spring break, we're going to start filming.
So what is the overall purpose of this club?
The purpose really is just to grow the campus's appreciation and knowledge of Hollywood-style cinema. Whether it be watching or making movies, we try to do both. Right now we're working with a company based out of Los Angeles to show pre-released movies here on campus, and we're also working on making our own short film.
How do potential members get involved or sign up?
I mean, getting involved is as easy as just coming to one of our meetings. We have them every other Monday in Hale 302. They're always at 9 o'clock as well. You can also send us an email. We've got posters all over the campus, and it's just RMUSFC for Student Film Club at gmail.com. And you just send us an email, hey, I'm interested in doing anything, whether it be writing, whether it be something behind the camera, doing makeup or editing in post-production, anything like that. Just let us know that you're interested, and we'll get you involved as soon as we can.
How many members do you have as of right now?
Right now we have anywhere between like 20 and 30 active members, but that number is actually rapidly growing.
And what kind of member are you looking for? Are you looking for just anyone, or are you looking for people who have specific skill sets? Or what do you kind of need right now?
Really, we need anyone that is willing to help, anyone that is able to give us that little bit of time just to help make that, that film that much better. You don't have to be a TV video major. You don't have to know how to edit. I mean, everyone's there to learn. Even for me, it's a learning process. And so we've got engineer majors, we've got PR majors, we've got everyone from all spectrums of the university, and we're happy to have all the help we can get.
And who holds some of the leadership positions in the club? What are the positions and who holds those positions?
Well, we have a few different officer positions. I'm the producer, and then we also have an assistant producer, we have an equipment manager, a finance manager, and a secretary, and those are like our board of directors. But we also have 3 committees, and that's what, as a member, you join. You pick any of the 3. You can join up to 3 if you want to. We have a writing committee, a production committee, and a post-production committee. And each one of those committees has a committee head. And so, for example, the production committee head would be the director. And then he also has like a director of photography, an art director, a makeup artist, all the different positions like that. And although you get to keep these, titles, we all sort of wear all the hats. We all help each other out. It's not about what can I do to enhance my portfolio. It's what can I do to help the team make this movie.
And how have all the early meetings and events gone so far? What have you guys done outside of meetings, or if you've just held meetings so far, how's all that gone?
We have our regular club meetings where we talk about a lot of the general stuff, what's our budget, what are the upcoming plans, stuff like that. But at this point, we actually do a lot of other stuff outside of the meetings. And like I said, we're starting to organize these pre-released movies. And in terms of the film we're making, which is going to be called Overrun, we are having different post and production meetings to organize. Right now we're making movie posters, and we're doing casting calls today and tomorrow for anyone interested in acting. And we are making graphics, logos for the movie. What's the text going to look like? What are the colors going to be? Just so we have a consistent style. And so we're really starting to bring everything together to have, that solid, cinema style type movie.
And aside from the posters that you guys have, what have you done to advertise for your cause and the things that you are doing on campus?
Right now, we actually have 3 social media accounts. We have a YouTube account, Twitter, and a Facebook. And all of those different outlets are ways that we like to advertise what we're going to be doing and things like that. Student Life is also helping us to, send out emails, stuff like that, to the whole campus once we start doing these pre-released movies, because they're going to be open to everybody. You don't just have to be a member of the club to come see the movies we're going to be showing.
And again, to be a member of the club, you don't have to be a film or journalism type major. It's open to any major.
Right, it's open to anybody. There's no fees associated with joining, so it's all just about coming to have fun. If you come to the meetings and you're not having a good time, then either we're doing something wrong or you have the wrong mindset about the club, because it's all just supposed to be about having a good time and learning about how to, make professional style movies at the same time.
Well, we will take a quick commercial break here on Campus Stories and return with our guest. Don't go anywhere.
G-Morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Ross!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblums, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the art.
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
You ever think about buying a bigger place? Just waiting for a visit from the credit fairy. There is no credit fairy. How else will I get a better credit score? Look, you keep your credit card balances low and only open a new card if you really need it. No fairy?
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
Yes, ready, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Welcome back to Campus Stories here on RMU TV. We've been lucky enough to be joined by the new RMU Film Club student producer, Brandon Kreiser. So, I understand that you guys have a movie in the works, as you talked about in the first segment. Tell us all about it.
Well, there's not a whole lot that I can talk about right now without giving away too much information, but I will disclose as much as I can. Basically, we're doing a horror film. It was a genre that we thought a lot of students would be interested in doing because it's going to be zombie-oriented, and we're not trying to ride the coattails of The Walking Dead or anything like that, so we actually took a different spin on it, where the zombies are actually, they're not dead technically. It's more that their soul, the human soul has been ripped out of these people because of this weird voodoo cult group that attacked a college campus. So like I said, it's a much different spin on the whole zombie apocalypse sort of thing, but we really like how it's a completely original idea. And like I said, right now, we're going to need a lot of zombies to help participate in the making of the movie. We've got several shots that will need at least 100 people in makeup to make the shot, look really, really good. And so we're going to try to, get the word out everywhere on campus when the shoot's going to be, and that we need, everyone to come out and help us out with it. And we think a lot of people are going to have fun doing it because it's just going to be, a different experience. How often do you get to be a zombie? It's not that often. So it's going to be a lot of fun for all the students, and it's just going to be, a really good film.
So how do the students get involved? Say I wanted to be a zombie. How would I become a zombie?
It's going to be as easy as just showing up during our shoots. What we're going to do, we're going to have Student Life send out an email to everybody on campus when these shoots are going to be, where they're going to be, what time, that sort of thing. It's all going to be after spring break. And then anyone that's interested can just come out. We'll take care of everything else. As long as, you don't wear any clothing that has, a huge Starbucks logo, something like that. Neutral sort of clothing, something that you wouldn't be afraid to get a little bit of fake blood on. And then we will take care of all the makeup, all the special effects, where you're going to be, and then you're basically just going to do the zombie shuffle when we say action.
So you talked about how you didn't want to ride the coattails of the already popular type of zombie things, but have you gotten a lot of inspiration from things like The Walking Dead, from Call of Duty zombies, from World War Z? What have you taken away from those type of mediums that you can apply to this?
I think we took a little bit more away from the Call of Duty sort of zombies. I haven't played it a whole lot, but from what I have, I know that the zombies are more created. They're not the risen dead. It's not someone that already died and came back to life by some miracle. So I think in a lot of ways we tried to avoid taking ideas from The Walking Dead, just because it's so popular. We don't want to just be known as the group that tried to copy The Walking Dead, because if you try to copy something, it's never going to be as good as the original. So we want to take a whole new approach on the idea of zombies taking over the world, but our story focuses on zombies taking over a college campus, one that happens to look identical to RMU.
Well, that is sadly all the time we have today on Campus Stories. So on behalf of our guests and our always awesome technical crew, I am your host, Vince Russo. We'll see you all again in a couple weeks. Take care, everyone.